Joking, they make a good second place. Okay, we all good? Okay, I'm going to talk about a guy called Gary Cohen. Okay, so Gary Cohen. Does anybody know who Gary Cohen is? No? Okay, let me tell you about Gary Cohen. So Gary Cohen, he was held back a year in school, okay? So he was held back a year in school. It was like I think it was like the late 60s, the early 70s, and he had dyslexia. But back then, like, dyslexia wasn't kind of like a thing. It wasn't something that you were diagnosed with. It was just that you were a bit of a disruption in the class. So he was held back a year in school, and he actually got expelled. And then he was doing an interview, he said, oh, do you think you're right to be expelled? He said, well, yeah, I think I did something wrong. And he said, what did you do wrong? He said, I hit the teacher. I was like, okay, well, you're probably warranted to get expelled. So he went from school to school to school, and all his mum ever wanted, she just wanted to see him graduate. She's like, the number one thing I want in life, you give me the best life ever, is if you just graduate, okay? And by miracle, he actually graduated, okay? And then he got a job selling aluminium. Can you just turn that music down, please? He got a job selling aluminium, okay? So he got a job selling aluminium. Basically, it's in his factory. It was all the time in America where it's all aluminium windows. There's a company called American Steel, if anybody's heard that company before, and it was absolutely huge, okay? So, but he knew that wasn't what he wanted to do. So one day he kind of got the day off work and he went to Wall Street. Does everybody know what Wall Street is? You know what Wall Street is? So that's where all the bankers are. And so if you guys have seen it on TV, you might have watched some movies, whatever it may be, maybe you've got some family in the banking industry. So he went to Wall Street. So he went in there and he tried to get onto the floor. Have you guys seen it where everybody's like shouting everything over the holding a piece of paper and selling and all this kind of stuff? And so he wanted to get in there, but he was kind of like all locked up. You know, when you get to like a secure building, you're like, oh my god, if I could get in that secure building, that'd be like the best day ever. But it's like nice and secure, and obviously you want to follow compliance, so you don't go into the secure building. And then so he was trying to get in. He tried to tailgate somebody. You know, when you walk through like a bar and you like kind of walk really close towards somebody, hoping to kind of tailgate in. Or you know, see the people where they like jump in, they don't have a Mikey card, so they kind of have a jump over the top, or they do a baseball slide underneath the bottom. I seen somebody the other day. I think she just walked up to it and kneed it. It was the most blatant thing ever, and it opened up. I was like, that's very stupid, but very smart. The poor guy's not got a kneecap anymore, but hey, 1-0 over Mikey. Okay, so and then he was at the shop floor. He was kind of looking down at the floor, and he's seen some guy. This guy in like a really nice suit on. He was really suited and booted, and the guy was like, he's shouting to like his assistant, "I'm going to LaGuardia." Is that how you say it? LaGuardia. I'm going to LaGuardia. I'll call you when I get to the airport. And he was like, okay, this is a guy I need to talk to. So he caught up with him at the front door. He planned it at the front door, and he says, I've just been hearing that you're going to LaGuardia, you're going to the airport. I'm actually going to the airport as well. Can I jump in a lift? So this guy thought nothing of it, said, yeah, jump in the lift. So he had an hour taxi ride with him. He had an hour journey with him. And the guy on the banking floor was saying, oh, I'm actually running a new options business. So it was a new form of trading which was selling options. And the guy, the really smart guy, was like, to be honest, I don't know anything about options. Do you know anything about options? So he turned around to Gary and said, do you know anything about options? This is a guy who used to sell aluminium steel, who was selling aluminium steel. He says, yeah, I'm actually the expert. And he didn't know anything about it. He said, yeah, I'm actually the expert in actually selling options. He said, really? And then so they start talking. So Gary's just blagging his way through it as much as he possibly can. And then so at the very end of it, they swap phone numbers, and he says, okay, cool, I'll see you back to where you were on Wall Street in a week's time, and you got an interview. So he had like a week to pick up like the encyclopedia of options. That literally is a big, huge book, and he had to read it all in a week. Now, this guy was dyslexic. Now, it was actually taking him 6 hours to read 22 pages. So 22 pages. So imagine this book, 22 pages long, it'd take him 6 hours to do it. And it was an encyclopedia that he had to learn. So he had to learn it, and he got his friends to test him on it, but obviously like his attention span was quite short. Okay? So he went on and he actually got the job. He blagged his way in, he actually got himself the job, and he became like one of the highest riding members within his company from there. Okay? Now, if we think about it, like, he went on and became successful in a role, and it was all down to a few choices. The first choice was, some would have never gone to Wall Street. So he was in the aluminium steel. He was in that kind of town kind of mindset. He could have never gone to Wall Street. Okay. Now he might have decided not to go to Wall Street because he didn't want to seem silly in front of his family and friends. Okay. The next choice he had was asking for the taxi ride. You know when you have that kind of in your head, it's like, oh, maybe we should ask, maybe we shouldn't ask, maybe we should ask, maybe we shouldn't ask, and that's because he didn't want to look stupid or look bad in front of other people who didn't already know him. So he didn't want to lose face in front of other people who didn't already know him. The next one would be, he could have been too polite. So he could have been in the car and just like, you know when you're talking to somebody and you really want to ask them a question, but it's like, oh, how was your weekend? And what are you up to? You're really not interested in how the weekend was, but you actually really want to ask them a question which is going to help you out. He could be really, really polite. And that's kind of where we have great ideas, but we don't have the execution to back it up from there. Okay? The next one is, he could have studied for the interview. He could have studied for the interview, could have read all the encyclopedia, and then at the end of it, it's like, oh no, maybe I shouldn't do it. And that's like kind of always going back to what you know. Going so far in the task, but then kind of it gets a bit too hard, and just going back to what you know from there. Okay? Now, I quote what Gary Cohen said. He says, "My upbringing allowed me to be comfortable with failing, because all the way through school he failed. He punched a teacher. He failed. He went from school to school to school. He failed. Okay? He went into aluminium work, and that's what he didn't want to do. He failed. So his life actually enabled him to be able to do with failure over and over again. Okay? Now, this is a key lesson I took from this one, is 10% of life is what happens to you. 90% of life is about how you react. So 10% of life is what happens to you. 90% of life is about how you react. Does anybody know who Gary Cohen is? So Gary Cohen is now the president of Goldman Sachs. Goldman Sachs is the #1 investment firm in the world. He's now worth $400 million.
Wow.
He's now worth $400 million because he went to ask somebody, hey, I believe you're going to the airport, can I come to the airport with you? And then he got into the conversation, he said, oh yeah, I can do that, but I maybe not be able to do now, but I'll be able to learn how to do it. And he backed himself and he got himself a job from there. He's worth $400 million from a taxi ride. That's not too bad. Now, the lessons that we take from that is 90% of life is what happens to you. 10% of life is what happens to you. 90% of life is how you react. Okay? Like, we have the power to change things. You have the power to change it. If you're not happy with something, you can change it. Okay? We have the power to focus on what we can control. He could have focused on everything outside of his control. He could have focused on the upbringing he had. He could have focused on the school that he had. He could have focused how he was failed during school. He could have focused on, I don't actually like this job at the moment. But he decided to focus on things that he's actually in complete control of. Okay? And every single time you do that, every single time you fail and you don't get what you're looking for, you give yourself new skill, you give yourself new confidence, and you give yourself new knowledge. Okay? And that's on a day-to-day basis. So, I was talking to, who was I talking to today? Iris, who else is in there? George, and also Justine was in there as well. I was like, when I'm walking out there today, when I'm walking out there at 9 o'clock this morning, I'm walking out there, I've already won. I've already won in the day. It's very rare when you guys come and see me in the morning, I don't think today's going to happen. I'm on. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go at 9 o'clock in the morning. It's like, hey, I'm already on the bell today. So by the time I'm talking to the first customer, the customer's like, I don't know what's going to happen here. Because that's what Gary Cohen did. Yeah. And that's what Gary Cohen did. And one of your customers is, hey, can I just jump this taxi to the airport? It's not, hey mate, I might go to the airport. I'm not too sure. Do you think it'd be a good idea or not? He's like, bang, no, straight in. And we said, do you know anything about options? He's not like, I think I could learn. I failed during school. I punched my teacher, but I could read an encyclopedia. He's like, yeah, I know all about it. All about it. I'll get it covered. And now he's getting rewarded for the work that he did back then. Okay? Now we have the opportunity to do that. Okay? So today we've been talking about work ethic all the way through the week. We've been talking about grit all the way through the week. Let's have a super fast start to the day. Let's be walking out there with your shoulders. Everybody now, let's put our shoulders back. Let's put our shoulders away. Okay? Put your chest out. Okay? Put your chest out, put your chin up. Okay, okay. Do you feel a bit better? Yeah. Now breathe in and breathe out. Oh, that's a bit much. Breathe in and breathe out. And just imagine when you're walking out here, imagine that you've already achieved what you're looking to achieve for today. And I guarantee if you walk like that all the way through the day, it's only a matter of time.